So we're going to continue from where we stopped last time. So what we're going to do first is we are going to start with so let me be sure this form is exactly how I want it to be. So copy path. So this is just the HTML4. So copy path, go to this browser, paste, localhost, so right. So password, be sure that it's working. So we type password. Okay, so this is for occupation. Let me remove this placeholder that is there. It's for occupation. Remove that placeholder that is there, and just copy the occupation here and just paste it inside of there. So now next thing is country. Now country on is I think I got an idea for this country. So what I will do is I'm going to bring in, I think there's a place I wrote JavaScript code. I'm going to bring in that JavaScript code and use it for this country. So what I'll do here is I'm going to copy this address, this for address, or duplicate it. So this will be for country, and I'm going to get rid of this select for now. Let me just change this, copy this into X, cut it out. So remove this. So country, so this is for country, so we don't really need to touch any other stuff there. This one is just okay like this. So now what I'll do is I'm going to give this country A, and okay, it already has, okay, let me see, I'm going to get rid of this ID. Let me see, let me call it input country. So to be sure, let me check, am I going to have an error? Okay, let me refresh, because I remember since I'm using this, I don't want an error. Okay, now let me, what I'll do is I want to come and put, so I'm going to put in I'll bring in the JavaScript. I think I have a code somewhere here. Let me see my previous code. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this JavaScript, just like so it's just this code. It contains all the whole different countries. So JavaScript code that contains all the whole different country. So Control C. So I want to bring it inside of the code so that the user can be able to. So I'm going to create my script. So script, inside of that script. Oh wait, let me be sure. Did I not? So I copied both with the script. So let me remove this. Control V. Yeah, I copied both with the script. So it's just a code. So all the whole different countries in it. So it's just a code. All the whole different countries in it. And so what we are doing here is what we are getting. We want to connect it with what? This our country. So I'm going to. So we are using ID to connect it. So I'm going to copy whatever is here. I'm going to come instead of here, I'm going to paste it here. So let me see the code. Let me be sure there is nothing I need to change. So all these things are all the different country we have. So country. Alright. So now let me, so this code helps you to create just like a mini API, or what you call it. So when I click here, I'm supposed to have, wait, let me be sure I'm not making a mistake. Oh, and it's just the same select that we used previously that we removed. It was the same select I would have used. Anyway, the same select. Let me open that bootstrap so that if there is any changes I can be able to make it. I'm going to open bootstrap. So to our form. So this is what I need. Control C, get it there. Now, just need this one. Control C. Instead of the code, so I'm going to go up. So country, I'm going to replace the internal weight with that. So change this to country and change this. So I think I need to change, so I'm going to use this. Let me use this simple state. Let me not change it again. Control C, paste it instead of that. Paste it here. Control V. So when I refresh, oh, what's wrong? Alright, this is working right now. So when I refresh, you see all the whole different country, only just connecting it. So it will give me ability to pick whichever country I want. So I think that is it. I don't really need to do any other thing again. Actually, this is not going to work. Well, you can just remove it. Let me remove it so you don't think it's actually working. I'm not going to implement anything concerning it. So that one is to check. Why did you stop? So this is it. So get rid of this. So leave the sign in. So the sign in, and I'm going to increase the sign in button. So I think let me see if I can use bootstrap and style it. I think to style the width of bootstrap I have to see W 100, right? It is for full. Let me see if that is it. Yeah, all right. So this is it. So now I think I'm done. So now let's what I'll do is to create the, so to create login, all I just need is all this code. I'll copy the code, go to my login page, empty. So I'm just going to paste it there, Ctrl V. So I'm going to get rid of almost everything and leaving only just two fields. So I'm going to, from this point where the pass, okay, so we don't need repeat password in login, so I'm getting rid of everything here, get rid of this, leave only the submit. So get rid of this API, get rid of it, I don't need it here. So I have just the email and the password is enough. I don't need I don't need any other stuff. So this one is, this one stop. Alright, so get rid of this, get rid of this. So let me see what I have when I go to the login. So from here we'll go to the login. So my login is login. I hope I'm correct. Click on it. So this is my login. Doesn't look nice. Let me make it full. So instead of here, mid, so here you just change it to what? 12, meaning 12 column, which is the full. So make it 12. So let me see. So right, this okay. So this for login, and if I go back, this for registration. So let's create a path connecting. So I'm still using this path. So let's create a path to connect the two of them, so that if someone wants to log in, so you can just say, you can just write down here. You can just say use an anchor tag. So or I can put a p tag. So what I'll do is I'm going to put a p tag. So I'm going to get this thing. So I'll write here. I'll write inside of it. Have not so okay. This is, I'm in the login. So I've not, okay, so I've not registered. As a question, I've not registered. Then direct them to what? That register.php. So direct them to your registered. So I'm going to put, okay, direct them to that register. So or you can say sign in. Alright, let me not do this fancy. Let me just copy this and paste it there. I don't know how it's going to look like, but so my page is register.php. So I'm just going to come to this same place and do the same thing I did in the register. So I'm going to do it up here. So I'm going to say copy the same code, going to C. Oh, I need to put it inside because Ctrl X, get it inside, Ctrl V. I'm going to copy this, Ctrl C, and go to this place and paste it below this, Ctrl V. So I've registered. I don't know if my English is correct, but you can just change it. So have registered. So we want to direct that person to our login page. So I've registered. So you're going to send him to. So you say login, so here would be what, login.php. So you can just write whatever you want to write here. I'm just trying to make it look a little bit. So let me refresh, so you can see, look at it, I've registered. So I've now registered. Okay, I think, do I need ed here? Well, I don't know, my English don't seem to be correct there. I'm just going to leave it. Let's move on. So now let's move on to the main thing. You can just fill in the remaining thing you want to fill there. So now back to our controller. So first thing first, we have created a page for the register, and we've created a page for the login, and now we need to now perform logic, the register logic. So next thing we need to do is, so now I'm going to use based on what I already have before. So let me check. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we're going to write another component. So next one we're going to do is, so right, we told you when we're creating our so when we're creating our database, I told you about that we are not going to use current timestamp, that we're going to create our date instead of the page. So we're going to create, this is it. So what we're doing is we're creating a public function get date method. So now what this does is that this date, so this, we're just setting the time zone. So we're just setting the time zone that we're going to use, and we're setting the date format. That's all. So it's just going to do what, return us the date, the gate. So this is the year, month, and day. So we're just returning us that in as this function. So next thing we need to do is, now password that is being sent into your database, you need to hash them. You can't send you can still, if you choose to send the password orally to the database, you can do that, but the reason why you don't have to send a password, you need to hash it. It's not necessary for you to have your user's password open like that in the database, so you need to hash it. So for security reason, maybe someone can hack your database, or maybe anything can happen. So it's always best you do what, hash it. So we're going to hash the password. So we're going to say, so here I'm going to pass in a function that hash password. So this is just a function that hash password. We are passing in an argument to hash the password, and we are now saying do what, we are using this inbuilt function. This is an inbuilt function, password hash. So this inbuilt function collects the password that the user is inputting. So it collects it and use this callback function, password default. This is going to be written in capital letter as is written. So it will use this callback function to do what, hash the password that is being put there. So now we are now saying if the password has been hashed, we want to assign it into what, a new variable called what, hash p. Then this we are telling it to do what, return it. So that is it. Now next thing we need to do, now we are now going to perform logic for our registration. So to register our user. So and we're just going to take it one by one. So alright, so let me use this. So make sure it's always necessary to always close it so you don't mistakenly, because if you do not close it now, it will take this last one and it will create an error. So now what we have in our database, we have, do we have middle name? Let me check the database. So what do we have in the database? So our project is project DB users. So we have first name, middle name. All right, so email, username, password, country. Yeah, so we are passing that first name, last name, middle name, last name, username, password. So confirm password. So we're also passing we're now passing the email. So all right, occupation, country. We didn't pass in gender and our distance, so I'm going to get rid of this. So if we want to add it, we can still add it later on if we choose. So all this is just later on, we can still add it if we want. So next thing we're going to do again is, now we're going to get most of all these functions. So I'm going to get this hash password because we're going to use it instead of this register. So I'm going to get it, Ctrl C, paste it here. But the thing about these functions is that since I'm going to use it here to hash password, it is instead of what? Object. So I cannot just, if it is a regular function that we're using, if we are not instead of an object, we could have just use it just like this. But right now we are using it instead of an object. So what we need to do now is we are going to use what? The name of an object. So the name of our object is called what? Call. The name of our project is project. The name of the class is project. So what we're going to do is what? Use this keyword. So this, so which is the name of our class. So this, so referring to this, and so what do we want to pass here? So this part symbolizes that we are trying to pass what? The password. So what is the password we are the variable, the password we are actually passing is in full. So this is what we want to pass. Now remember, this is an argument. This is just an argument. There's nothing inside of this variable. This argument is here. We have not used it. We have not write it any other places. Just here. So we're just passing it because we're going to use it what? Because we know we are going to use all this to perform what? All this argument to perform our logic. And we also remember that this is not what is this is just an empty variable, and it's still not connected to what? Database. This thing is empty, and it does not symbolize what is inside of this database. It does not symbolize this. So this one here, we are still going to connect to these particular ones, but it does not symbolize that we are connected to this. So just all I want to make, so you'll be clear that this is just a normal regular variable, just argument, regular argument. So there's nothing inside of it. It's just there so we can use it to perform logic. So now this, so we are saying now if this register method is used, means they are going to pass what? Password inside of this. So we want to pass this password inside of this place here. So we are passing it here. So what will it do? Now remember the logic of hash password. Whenever a password is being passed, it's going to enter inside of here, and it's going to enter here, and it's going to be what? Hash. So now we're going to assign this into what? A new variable, and call it what? We call it password hash, or anything you want to call it. So variable password, or let's call it pass hashed. I call it password hashed. So just the name of a variable. So another thing again we need to get is we need this date. So we are going to pass this time inside of our database. So I'm going to copy it, Ctrl C, and I'm going to paste it here to V. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to use, remember that we're calling it inside of a class. Always remember, no, don't forget. So we need to pass this keyword here, referring to what? The owner of the class. So we're going to, now when we do that, we put equals to and assign it into a new variable. So I'm going to call a new variable what? Variable date, So next thing we're going to do is validate. Yeah, I think yes. Yeah, I need the validate password here, so I need to bring it. So I'll bring it here. So we need to validate whatever password we are hashing. We need to validate. Let me write it. It's not like it's going to do anything, but let me just put it above here before the password hash, so it makes more sense to stay before our password hash. And remember to put this keyword hyphen. So now always make sure to close this semicolon, otherwise you'll be receiving a whole lot of error. So what do we want to do now? We are trying to do what? We are trying to hash, we are trying to validate. We want to be sure that the password that is being sent here is what? The same. So what we want to do is, alright, let me see. I think I need to perform this with logic. Coming, let me be sure. Okay. Okay. So now next thing we're going to pass in what? So the validate password is to do what? Check if the password is the same with what? The confirm password. So remember, this is the actual one we are using. We are using this one to work. So check if this password is the same with what? Our C password. So to compare it, so if it have compared, we are going to pass it inside of what? This variable. So we are going to call it variable what? Variable. Let me call it check password, because it's to check password. Call it validate password, or whatever you want to call it, but checked pass. So next thing we need to do is, now we need to so now another thing we are doing is that we are working based on email. So working based on email, our email is unique, meaning we need to get check the user if the user already exists. So this is just to get our right. Let me not. Alright, okay, let me use this. So this is only what we need here. So what we want to do here is that we are trying to check whichever user that is trying to register. So this will do what? Help us get all data. So this is just a command. We are sending a command to the database. So to the database, we are trying to do what? We are saying select all from where what? This user. So let me be sure that this is the same thing we have here, user. So from where this table. So select from the table where email is what? Equals to our email. So we made our email unique instead of a database, meaning that not more than one. We need only one person. One person can only have what? One. The same. The email cannot be changed. That's what we just did. So in this place here, we are just trying to say we are preparing a variable that is getting all the email, should in case the user that is trying to register is trying to register with an email that already exists in the database. So we are trying to check it now. We have not performed the logic yet on what it's going to do. So we are going to start by, so Let me see if I'm missing anything. Okay. So right, so now let's start performing our logic. So we're going to start by checking password. So we have the check password. So Control C. So we're going to say if this. So if, remember the if statement. Let me bring the else, because it's going to get hectic a little bit. So else. So now inside of this place here, so what are we saying here now? We are saying if this password have been checked, that's if the password and this password is the same. So if it is the same, do what? Continue. But if it is not, else do what? Print what? So we're going to say print. So print an error saying so you say password does not match, or should we say when the two password is not the same, just say password does not match. Yeah, so password does not match. So if the person is trying to put the second password, if it does not match, we say password does not match. So print password does not match. So now but what we are saying, do what? This will only print if the thing does not match. But if it match, we are trying to we are going to say continue. So next thing we are doing again is that so we're going to check if the user already exists. So we're going to check if the user already exists. So we're going to use this inbuilt method. So in this situation, we are checking for the email. We are saying we are using the email, and we are saying if so I'm not going to be using the username in this situation. So I'm going to use the email, and we're going to say if this will do what? Run through our database and check. So if the email, if it returns, so we are trying to do what? Run this will do what? Run to our database. So if you run into our database, if it returns any ID, so if it returns an ID, meaning that if you return any number, meaning that what? There is somebody that has that same email in our database. So that's why we are saying if this is what? Greater than 0. So if it is greater than 0, meaning that if it is not, if it is greater than 0, meaning that somebody already exists. So what we want to do is we want to print what? Print the console. So print. You can just say user already exists. So let's say user already exists. So user already exists. So if the person is trying to register, is going to print that error, user already exists. Else, so let's continue. So I'm going to put this. So else. So else continue. So else continue. So next thing we're going to do is So we're going to check if the password are the same. So we're going to check if the password are the same. So we're going to say, so what we're going to say is, if the length of password, no, we're going to limit the password. So we need to limit the password, so the user give the length of password we want the user to put. So we want the password, the user to input a password between 8 and what 16. So we are saying if the length of the password is what greater than 18 and the length of password is less than 16, continue. Else so else throw an error and say password must be between, exactly, so must be between 18 and 16. So next thing we need to do is to check. So we need to filter our email. So we need to filter the email. So we need to be sure that whatever email we are putting there is what an actual email. So if it is an actual email, what we want to do is if it's an actual email, what we want it to do here is going to continue, else is going to print invalid email. So you're going to print invalid email address. So print email invalid email address. So if the person is putting an invalid email address, it's going to say what? Print an invalid you are putting what? An invalid email address. So next thing we need to do now is to do what? Insert now the user inside of the database. So to insert the user inside of the database, so I'm going to use this. Exactly what I need. So at this point, so we want to insert. So what we're doing here is that we're saying do what? We're saying now insert into what? This user, that table. So here what? So this is not what we're going to use. So I think I'm going to get rid of this. So this is not what we're using, right? So I'm going to get rid of alright. So now this is one way to do it. Actually, this is one way to do it. You can just write it like this, but I feel like I'm going to use I feel like the one I want to use now will be the simpler way. So this one here can still work, but I'm not going to be using this. I feel like let me use this other way. Get this out. So insert here. So values. Okay, this is okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to pass in so double quote, so double dot. So I'm going to do it this way. So this is the way it is. So comma, I think I'm missing something, let me be sure. Right, so the first thing that is supposed to be here will not be our username. Our first thing is going to be our ID. So you know, you need in this part here we are going to arrange this. So let me remove this for now. This I don't need it. Sorry, I don't need this for now. So first thing we need to pass in is what? Our ID. So we're going to say what? The ID. So we cannot write the ID here because we're not passing the ID as a variable. It's not coming from outside. It's already existing inside the database. So we are not the one putting it. So we're going to use null. So we're going to say null for the space in the ID. So now this thing must correspond exactly, even though if this side does not correspond exactly with the database, here must do what? Correspond exactly with what we have inside of the database. So I'm going to bring my database side by side. So we have the first name, middle name, last name, email, username, password, country, occupation, date. So what I have: first name, middle name, last name, username. So now your password hash. So important to know, what we are sending into the database is not what? The regular password. What we are sending to the database is what? This password hashed. So let me be sure it's what is being passed here. Let's like to auto predict. So this is it. Then the email is that the same thing in my database. Then so okay, last name. Okay, interesting. My email come before the username, so I'm going to come here and grab this, Ctrl X, and move it before the username. So move before the username. So next thing again is the username, the password, that is the password hash, then country and occupation, So this one will come first. Ctrl X, come before the occupation. So make sure it's aligned exactly the way it is in your database. So now this is how you're going to pass it. So we are passing it like this. So like this, single column, double dot, then so just like that. So you're going to put this double. So this is the way we are passing it: inside dot, so make sure you don't make mistake. Just know the one that comes in. The single is outside, the double is inside, so you don't make mistake. So double dot, so dot, and double. So that's it. So next thing, okay, for the country, dot, oh, double first, dot, so dot, double. So that's it. So that's it. So done. So we're now assigning it inside of where you always remember that we're using this stuff. Sometimes you can just put it here if you want. So next thing we need to do is so if this thing is inserted successfully, so if it's inserted successfully, what we are going to do is we want it to do, so if query is inserted successfully, so if the query Ctrl C, so if it is inserted successfully, Ctrl, if successful, if query successful, we want it to do what? So okay, let it print successfully for what? For now. So print register successfully, else. So else, so print register user not register. So we are going to later on we're going to change this message. So we're going to change this message and direct the person here to what? To the login when they register successfully. But for now, since we are doing testing, we're just passing this now. So in our register, so all you need to do is instead of this place, we are going to pass in. So we're going to open the PHP here. So open PHP, close it. So first thing first is we're going to require our controller here. So require that controller, require once. So require the controller here. So controller / controller.php. So this is it. So with that being said, you can just so next thing we are going to do is instead of this place here, this input field, we need to give it name. So first thing, instead of here, we're going to give it name because the name is actually what we use in working. So here we're going to say first name, and here we're going to say name, middle name, don't write it in capital letter B so you don't make mistake. So middle name, then name, last name, and here for the input here email. So make sure that you are writing inside of the input. So name, email, password, name, password, this one also. So I'm going to call it, so repeat password, you can call anything you want to call, but I'm going to call it C password. So C password, and then the last one, okay, so occupation, name, occupation, so country, so here name, country, 3. So submit. In our submit button, we need to have what? The submit. So let's put the, so instead of the submit, we're going to have what? Name, submit, submit. So any other thing? So I think there's nothing else. So so next thing we're going to do is to make this, connect this. So we're going to write another login. We have what we are done now. We are done with the register. So the register is working. This everything is correct. Now the next thing we need to do now, we're going to come up here and connect. Write another code again and write message. Now we're going to do it in our next class. So we're going to create messages that is going to, so we're going to create messages that so a message for successful, logic for successful, and we're going to start implementing a connect for this. So a connecting logic. So I'm going to paste this, so you review this. Okay, I'm going to paste everything so you see it. So the main thing about every code, the main thing about every project is their controller. So if you can be able to have access to controller and be able to understand how the controller is being structured, so the other stuff connecting the other main page is nothing. So I'm just going to paste this. Now paste my login so you can see it. See. So you see the changes I make and my login. So yeah, going to see. So the next thing in our next lecture, we're just going to connect to the connection logic, and so just go through the logic that we just performed and just go through it line by line, understand how it's been written. So next lecture we're just going to make it work, connect it with our form and make it register and put the user. So see you in our next lecture. Yes.